all you wonderful people of the internet. I'm the ZodiacLord, and I'm back with more Lunaverse portrait ramble things. Yay! So, of course, like as always, if you are clueless as to what Lunaverse is and you've never even heard of the story or the subject or anything, I would highly suggest watching these videos from the beginning because there's a lot of important context. All you need to know is that it's my own original story with things like that. So if that ain't your thing, you're free to go. Don't bother me, or if you just want to see the art, you can play music or go watch the music version. What have you. It's all good. But yeah, so I'll put a little thing up top if you want to actually watch these from the beginning and get all the context. Because if you start here and you don't know what you're getting into, you're going to be very confused. But yeah, so I got this done a lot faster than I thought I would. I'm recording this audio actually like a week or two after I made the picture itself. And I've had to record this like 50,000 times, I swear. But yeah, so I got this done a lot quicker than I thought I would, in comparison to how long it takes me to do these most of the time. But yeah, so I'm actually very pleased with how the actual art came out. I think it looks very nice. I like how it came out. So yeah, that's all I gotta really say about that and that kind of stuff. So today we're doing Felicity. Yay! So Felicity, as you can see, is a little deer girl, fawn, whatever you want to call her. She's she's a girl with ears and hooves and things like that. So yeah, and she's a very fun character because she plays like most of the main characters, she plays a very important role, but hers is very different in the sense that the purpose she plays in the story is a lot less direct than a lot of the other characters, because a lot of the other characters, their main purpose is helping take down the main villain and things like that. But Felicity's is a lot more indirect. She doesn't really have any cool superpowers or anything like that. She's not immortal. She doesn't have like super strength, whatever. She's just, in a sense, a quote unquote normal deer girl in a sense, you know? But she serves a bigger purpose than just beating people up and things like that. So before I dive too deep into things, I will say that she wasn't like many Lunaverse characters. She was originally an adoptable. So I bought her design from the same person I bought Sphinx's design from, which is pretty cool. And there's another character in the main characters that I also got a design from the same person who's really cool. Shout out to Eyes Like Morphine. Go check them out. They're pretty cool, man. They were both from a Monster Girl Gotcha thing, so yeah, that's pretty neat, I'd say. It's even neater when I talk about it, the next character in the roster, whatever. But yeah, so I will say I can't really talk about her backstory that much, just because it's rather it's not super complex, but there's like a lot you need to know, and there's a lot that has to do with other characters that I haven't talked about, and they're weird characters. It's not just like a regular like mom and dad kind of thing. A lot of her story has to do with other character stories and things like that, because she's adopted and, you know, all that sort of stuff. There is a picture on my DeviantArt, however, that does actually go into detail about that sort of thing. So if you'd like to read that, just go look in the description. There'll be links to stuff related to Felicity, and one of them will be the family photo thing with her and her adoptive family. And if you want to, you can read about that sort of stuff if you're curious. So yeah, but I am going to talk about how Felicity joins the story and her kind of purpose and things like that, because she's been a lot of fun to play around with story-wise. So Felicity, basically, to pick it up after like Sphinx joins the household, this is about like probably, I don't know, there's things of course, even my own story I haven't worked out, by the way. Sometimes when there's these pauses of me trying to recollect things, a lot of times it's because I haven't been set on something. But anyway, so I want to say probably like a few weeks after Sphinx ends up joining. Sphinx basically she lives there by choice, but she'll go out and do whatever she wants, really, and just go hang out. So a lot of times she'll be lounging around in the woods, just chilling in trees, what have you, whatever a demigod Egyptian cat girl does in the forest. I don't know. But she basically is just lounging around one day when she sees someone very unusual come by, because this is the normal human world. While, of course, this kind of stuff doesn't faze her, it's still kind of weird to see a deer girl like Felicity wandering through the forest. So this catches her eye, and she's like, huh, interesting. And, of course, like, she's cute, whatever. So, like, she basically just goes down, and it's full cute anime cat girl mode, deceptive disguise, whatever, activate, you know? And she basically just, like, has a whole conversation. It's any other person would be totally weirded out, but Felicity, for one thing, she's seen weirder, of course. And secondly, she's very polite, so she kind of just goes along with it and stuff like that. And while they're talking, it basically comes out where Felicity's like, I'm here, I'm a visitor here, and I want to explore. I don't have a place to stay, but I'm gonna find one, you know? And Sphinx gets an idea. So she basically tells Felicity, well, you know, in this world, I don't know where you come from, but around here, people don't really react to things like you very well, or they wouldn't at the very least. And so she's like, oh, well, gee, that's a problem. So Sphinx, of course, is like, but you see, I know a place where you can stay where everyone else there is just as weird as you, and it's all good. You can come stay with us. And Felicity, not knowing that technically Sphinx isn't allowed to make that kind of decision, it's like, oh, that's so sweet of you. Thank you. I'd love to. And Sphinx is, of course, like, yes, this is going to piss Luna off so much. So yeah, basically Sphinx drags Felicity back to where the household is, and she's just like kind of kicks down the door like, Luna, I brought a friend. And it's just a whole little thing ensues between Sphinx and Luna where it's just kind of like, what on earth are you doing? You have no permission to do this. I don't want any more of you in this house. I don't even want you here. And etc., etc. And so Felicity's basically, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to intrude. She's just nice, and it's like, I can go, it's all right. And Luna's like, well, you're here now, so if you want to stay, like, you can stay a week tops, basically. And that's kind of a key thing with Felicity as well, is she's very, very likable. You can't really hate her. You can disagree with her. You can think that she is too nice and too forgiving, and you can disagree with her views on life. You can disagree with her. You can even dislike her, but you just can't hate her, you know? And that's kind of what happens with Luna. It's just like, you know what, fine, you look nice enough, can stay here for a week, it's cool, whatever. We have a bunch of extra rooms for some reason, so, and one that seems oddly tailored to your color palette, but it's fine. So yeah, so she basically ends up staying, and this is when Felicity's about like a week, almost towards the end of the week, a few days later, when you get to see what Felicity's like kind of purpose is and why she gets to stay, which is very key. So in a household like this, like the one we have going on here, I would assume that it's pretty obvious that people get into fights quite often. And this usually spawns from Sphinx doing something, or Vanessa planting something into someone's head or whatever, or Chrome getting irritated with someone, or even Jackson doing something stupid, you know? So there are fights and there are arguments quite frequently. But nothing as big as what happens one of the nights when Felicity is there. To make long story short, just a huge fight breaks out that spawns between Sphinx and Chrome, and they start yelling at each other. Usually Sphinx will just try to irritate Chrome and get it directed towards someone else so she can laugh and watch the drama. But this time, it doesn't really work. And he says something out of line to her, and they basically just get in a yelling fest. And one thing leads to another, and basically everyone else gets dragged into it. And it's just a huge mess, whether it be like picking sides, getting dragged in, getting things aimed at you, you know, whatever. And Luna basically just kind of walks into this. And Luna, her expert way of solving these kind of problems is either go to another room and turn up the TV and let them yell it out, or just yell at them to shut up and then be done with it. And this one, however, that wasn't really possible because it was so intense that Luna was just kind of like, how do I handle this? Everyone's yelling at each other and it's a huge mess, and it wasn't really something that she could just say shut up to, you know? So she's kind of stuck. And of course, Felicity's there, and she ends up coming downstairs like, whoa, this is intense. And now Felicity as a character is generally rather shy and more timid, on the more timid side of things. However, she will get a very odd bout of courage when it comes to dispelling arguments. She's the kind of person that doesn't want to see people fight. She doesn't want to see people angry, anything like that. And when it comes to that kind of stuff, she's the kind of person that even no matter how much you tell her that it might not help, she wants to help fix it, you know? So that's basically what happens here. She sees this happening and hears this, and then basically makes the mental decision, we can't let this go on. So she has hooves, and there is a hard surfaced floor. So basically stamping her foot a few times, it's really loud and it gets everyone's attention. And she basically just says, all right, tell me what's going on, we're fixing this. Basically like, sit down, we're having a counseling session. And long conversation short, she basically fixes the argument. Sphinx and Chrome leave grumbling, whatever, but it's a significantly more peaceful result, than what should have happened, basically, you know? And this happens and everything is resolved so peacefully and calmly that Luna just kind of, like, Felicity just turns back to Luna, like, you know, just kind of like, because Luna's just kind of staring at her, so she's like, hi, are you okay? And Luna's basically, you can stay here. Luna just basically turns to her and is like, you can stay here as long as you want. And that's how Felicity got to stay. So, with that being said, obviously there's a lot of details left out because I don't want to make these an hour long. I could talk about my characters for hours, man. But that's kind of where Felicity's big purpose sort of comes into. Felicity is 100% a mediator, and she's something I like to call a peacemaking character. And when I write, especially when I write groups, because I write a lot of groups, when it comes to what member of what group gets introduced at certain times, or how many of each, like what kind of personalities characters would have, a system I like to use is something I like to call disruptors versus peacemakers. Which is basically just like, I believe that when it comes to a team, there's like a little spectrum here and you could put them in either side. And at the current moment of Lunaverse, there are a lot of really, really strong disruptive characters. Disruptive characters are just characters that come in and all hell breaks loose. They're the characters who tend to be more argumentative, who tend to do things that tick people off, who tend to irritate people, who tend to cause problems for one way or another. And obviously you can be a little bit of both, but typically I believe people lean one way or the other. And at this moment, if you couldn't tell, Sphinx is 100% the epitome of a disruptive character. She comes in and she causes drama. All hell breaks loose. If Sphinx hadn't shown up, not even Chrome would be that big of an issue. And so at this point, there's so much disruption. And the reason why it's so key that like Felicity shows up after Sphinx is because if the last two characters showed up before her, realistically speaking, they would have just added to that disruption and the team would have not realistically been able to work out. Because while like Infinity could be considered a peacemaker, while Virus could be considered a peacemaker, while Jackson maybe sometimes could be a peacemaker, sometimes, they're not very good at it. They're not super intelligent. So Felicity showing up and being as good a mediator and a peacemaker as she is, and peacemakers, if you can't tell, are characters that come in and like calm everyone down. They're like kind of the glue that holds people together, sort of thing. And that's what Felicity is really the epitome of, which is very foil to Sphinx, which is a big thing in the story of her and Sphinx being absolute foil characters. But Felicity basically is kind of the key of how anyone in the household ever sticks together. She's sort of a big key to that, and that's one of the most important parts of her within the story. She can't really fight. She doesn't have any like magical healing powers. She's not even really a defensive character. She's basically, in a sense, she is the team mascot. She's the moral support. And it's something that the story really needs, because a lot of people, I feel like, get wrapped up too much in stories and making it dramatic. You gotta have the drama and the tragedy and all this sort of high stakes stuff. And they kind of forget that you need a little bit of like something happy there, something to take your mind off the stress and, you know, stuff like that. Not to mention, just to give you a word of advice, the happier you can make people feel, the more they'll connect with their characters, and then the more they'll cry when one of them dies. Not that Felicity dies. Felicity doesn't die. None of the main characters actually die. But just saying, the drama hurts more when you can attach to them more, and that's very much what Felicity is meant to do. There's a lot of other dynamics she has, of course, but that is one of the sort of key things that she is centered around being that sort of peacemaker, being sort of the counselor of the group. She's basically the therapist, in a sense. Like, you know, you'll have those friends sometimes. It's like, when you got an issue, you know they're the best ones to go to advice for. That's what she is. She's very good at that kind of thing. And of course, she fails. Things happen where helping doesn't actually help the situation, and it makes things worse. And it happens, and it's an important part of the story. But not going to get too deep into that. So yeah, that's basically what Felicity's all about. She's I didn't talk too much about her personality, but yeah, she's basically just big team member, pretty, like, yeah. But I hope that story was interesting for you, and I don't want to make this go to 20 minutes. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the art. I hope you enjoyed learning about Felicity, and then next one should be interesting because I can finally talk about some relationships more in depth. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But anyway, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. And I will see you in the next video, whatever it may be. And I've actually considered possibly making more kind of videos related to Lunaverse, but not just the Lunaverse portraits, just other things talking about it. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. Hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next one, whatever it may be. Zodiac, out.